Today, Friendo Club, we're going to talk about who we think is going to dethrone whom this time in AEW. Maybe next week we'll deal with the dabba-da-dabba-da-E, but this week it's all Death Riders all the time. Larson, there's been a lot of chatter. That look on your face kind of says everything about the chatter right now. Talk about the chatter a little bit, Larson.
Oh, where to start?
Let's
start here, kind of ancillary to the title picture.
Big word.
Why the heck are Death Riders teaming with the Learning Tree next week on Collision? Shouldn't Learning Tree be antithetical to everything that Mox stands for?
You know, man, Mox
or is it
Jericho?
Just bad guys team up, good guys team up? Is it literally that simple?
No, they wouldn't be insulting our intelligence in that manner, man. Good guys, bad guys, anyways. Regardless of all that mess, man.
The title picture ain't any less messy because Fightful said that Darby's not going to be on TV until he's back climbing Mount Everest.
Yeah,
so deal.
As you've said, Larson, the window to climb Everest, I think, ends in May, doesn't it?
Yeah, late May.
All In is in July. So let's go ahead and start there. We might as well. The AEW World Title currently in an attaché case held by Marina Shafir, but technically Jon Moxley is the champion.
Ugh.
Once he gets back from Mount Everest, do you see Darby as being the guy to dethrone Mox?
Yeah, I mean, he will be. That'll be the main event of All In, is Darby beating Mox. But, I understand Tony Khan's trying to be, cool boss dude. But do you be cool boss dude and let your guy who's going to be your next world champion go and climb Mount Everest at the expense of the stories? Well, I don't think the Death Rider story is any good anyways, but still, they can't really pivot if Tony Khan's intent on Darby being the next champion.
They can't pivot in what manner? Why would
they can't
pivot?
have Darby win the title sooner because this story is garbage at this point, this Death Rider thing.
Wow.
It's time to hit the reset button on the title picture because this sucks.
Did you just use the capital G garbage, Larson?
I did. Capital S sucks. I'll put on my best Brian Alvarez. It sucks.
Wow. Here, I'll do JD. It's garbage.
It's terrible. But if Tony Khan is so intent on Darby being champion, he can't even make the title change till July because Darby is going to be on a mountain.
Yeah, I don't think. Look, there's plenty of competitors. There's plenty of opponents for Jon Moxley and AEW to last till July. How many shows are there before then? There's Grand Slam.
Steve, you really want to sit through 6 more months of this bullshit?
Well, I mean, here's the great thing. It's not like we watch Collision. I kind of half-assedly watched Dynamite.
Still, it's 6 more months.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing.
Pivot, put that title on Hangman.
The crazy thing is, I looked at the pay-per-view schedule for AEW, and it's crazy, but I've got family obligations on each of those days.
What are the odds?
Except for July 12th, where we'll probably be watching WWE Saturday Night's main event.
Because that's going to be against All In.
That's going to be against All In. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Wow. Anyways, it's going to be Darby. Look, man, I don't know what's going on. The big 12-man match that they're doing, is that on Dynamite? Is that at Mayhem?
No, it's Collision. It's Maximum Carnage Collision.
Then it doesn't count. I don't watch that
No, it
shit.
does count because it's canon. They put a graphic out for it.
Yeah, Hobbs is teaming with the Outrunners. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be Darby when he gets back from Mount Everest. Here's the thing. This is the thing. This is why, look, the story, it's not great. But the image of Darby hoisting that AEW flag, maybe even literally like a physical flag, and putting it there at the top of Everest.
Let me ask you something.
Come on. That's nuts.
But let me ask you something. Let me ask you this. I'm going to pose this question to you because I thought of it. I don't know if I have the answer, so I'm going to pose this to you.
Awesome.
Mox's whole issue is that AEW is overrun by ego, people looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
Is it Darby climbing Mount Everest really an example of Darby? I mean, that's the thing you do to conquering nature. That's all about ego. Is it Darby's exercise of climbing Mount Everest, especially to put the AEW banner on top. Isn't that all about ego?
No, not at all. That's about pushing one's own self to the limit. That's exactly what Mox wants for his mid-carders in AEW.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm sure about that. It's pushing himself to the limit. It's not like Darby is getting helicoptered up there like some billionaire. No, man, he's going up there through grit and determination, walking past piles of human feces and dead bodies, and he's going to plant that flag at the top of Everest. No, that's actually, if he accomplishes it, is an incredibly impressive task. He wants to see how far he could push himself to the limit. So yeah, that's the answer to your question.
Are they even going to bring up? So they wrote Darby off by getting thrown down some stairs, which he's done at least half a dozen times in AEW. I mean, that keeps him out for like a week and a half.
Yeah, I feel like that powers him up at this point.
Yeah, at this point. And so they're writing him off TV so he can climb Mount Everest. But when he comes back, is he going to mention that he climbed Mount Everest? And if that's the case, he got written off TV for an injury, decided, I'm going to go on vacation, climb Mount Everest, and then comes back when it's convenient for him to go after the world title.
I think it's this. I think you take the physical out of it, and yes, I'm going to defend every point that you're making here because it's fun. It's a good brain exercise to try to figure out what
I'm all about
doing.
trying to see what mental gymnastics you're capable of on a Monday morning.
All right, dude. I like this. He gets thrown down some steps. As you say, that's par for the course for Darby. So it's not like he's being written off to actually nurse his injuries. He's being written off to reassess where he's at. He's got to reconnect with, in this case, nature. He's got to go speak to God himself. And to do that, he's got to go to the highest place on earth, and that is Mount Everest. Although, isn't there something higher than Everest?
Well, there's what, K2 that's right
K2,
next to it?
Isn't K2
But I don't think that's
Everest?
higher. I think it's just a little bit lower.
Okay, well, in any event, he's going to the highest place that I guess, legally you're allowed to go, Mount Everest. And he's going to find himself there. And he's going to come back. What if he comes back as like a Tyler Bate type meditation type guy?
There we go.
Comes back as a love guru.
Let's see it. Let's see
Yeah.
it. He scaled past human garbage and feces and dead bodies.
Yeah, dude. No, that'll change a person.
No,
That'll change a person.
Good. I'm happy you had answers for all my questions.
Man, that's what I'm here for, to answer all your questions. Let's move on to this next one because I have no answer for this. And we're going to take a look at the TNT title, the Tank title, currently held by Daniel Garcia. So who's going to be the next Tank champion, Larson?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. They're pushing somebody. He's a heel. So I have his name here, and that's Kyle Fletcher. Who did Daniel Garcia face last? I mean, it seemed like Shelton Benjamin was going to get a shot at it. They dropped that.
It's going to be Shelton, yeah.
But Kyle seems to be getting a concerted push for the most part. He's going to be feuding with Kenny Omega through the rest of the winter and early spring, I would imagine. Ospreay's still involved in the Don Callis family. Really, both Kenny and Will Ospreay need to get out of this Don Callis family island, do other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bring Daniel Garcia to Don Callis Island.
Oh, wow.
And have Kyle Fletcher beat him for that TNT title.
All right. I am going to go with, and here's the thing. This is the great thing about this particular title is that you and I, we have no idea, and there's nobody seemingly that they've set up. So you kind of pulled a name out of a hat. I'm going to pull this name out of a hat because they did tease it, and I think maybe they'll do it again. That's Shelton Benjamin. I feel like Tony Khan seems to understand what you should do with Shelton Benjamin more maybe than, where he was in WWE. And so, yeah, I'm still going to go with Shelton. Is it likely? He might be, at this point, the least likeliest because they did tease it and dropped it. That being said, who knows? I'm just going to go with that. I'm going to say it's Shelton. I don't think that they have any plans. I honestly think that they have no plans right now for anybody. So it is a shot in the dark at this point.
It really is. It really is. Let's talk about the Continental title, of course, still held by Okada. Steve, who do you think is going to be the next Continental champion?
All right. Well, I'm going to kind of copy and paste something that we had kind of previously talked about before, but this time I'm going to do a little bit different. So you and I have talked about how Kenny's back now. They've teased the July pay-per-view for the Kenny Okada match. And our question is, what's he going to do until then?
Mm-hmm.
Until then, who did you just say he's feuding with? Don Callis family.
Don Callis family, yeah.
Who in the Don Callis family currently has a title?
Takeshita.
I think Kenny Omega is going to dethrone Takeshita in the the international title.
All right.
That's what it's called.
International.
And then between now and July, and then in July, that's when they're going to do Okada versus Kenny, title for title, and they're going to merge it, and it's going to be called the Continental Title, because you can't call it the Intercontinental Championship because there's already one of those in WWE.
What if they? Never mind. All right. No, I got Kenny.
And then I think he's gonna be the one to dethrone Okada.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Kenny beating Okada too in July. I guess I could skip ahead to the international title. I would really like to see this happen, though I'm not sure it will, because he's already had a chance at the international title. It'd be cool if Powerhouse Hobbs has his match against Mox. It's another thing about Death Riders. They're just booked as your pretty average cowardly heel group at this point.
Yeah, they are.
And Powerhouse Hobbs has Mox beat. Death Riders interfere. Powerhouse Hobbs loses. But then, through that match, we as an audience see, Powerhouse Hobbs, he should be world champion right now. Mm-hmm. Has another match against Takeshita. Powerhouse Hobbs still has beef with Don Callis' family because they didn't call him when he was hurt. He beats Takeshita for the international title.
Okay. I think that's a cool idea. Let's move on now to the TBS title. Currently, it's arguably the top women's title in AEW. That sort of changes, depends on who has it. In this case, it's in the hands of one Mercedes Moné. Larson, who do you think is going to dethrone Mercedes?
Everything would seem to indicate it's going to be Willow.
Going to be Willow. I got Willow as well.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of has to be Willow.
I feel like you're right about that. It's going to be Willow.
Willow.
Let's move on to the secondary, depending on who holds it. Maybe primary sometimes. Women's Championship. Talking about, of course, Mariah May, who currently holds it. I have nobody written down here because... Oh, no. Yeah, I do. I didn't because it's so obvious. It's going to be Toni Storm in Australia. They got this Grand Slam thing coming up in February.
It's next month.
Mid-February? About a month from now, yeah. Mariah May, I think she's going to lose it to Toni Storm there in Australia. I think they'll have a month to tell this story of Toni Storm, the rookie Toni Storm, getting her shit together. The only question, I guess, is she going to find herself in terms of emerge from this fog of whatever it is, or is it going to be revealed that this is just a grand performance? Which I think would actually be a lot more fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I have Toni Storm as well. Again, I don't know if it's going to be, in terms of the route they take from a character perspective, what angle they're going to take with it. I mean, even at this point, February seems a little soon for her to be winning the title based on the trajectory of the story, but I guess we got a Casino Gauntlet match this Wednesday, tournament number 1 contender for Grand Slam in Australia. If they give it the match time, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you could tell a good chunk of that story with Toni in the ring, I guess, possibly. So we'll see. But yeah, Toni's going to beat Mariah May. She's going to be the next champion.
I wonder if they're going to utilize some sort of physical inciting incident for Toni's reemergence, whether it's some sort of recreation of the Mariah May shoe incident, something like that, to sort of wake up Toni. Be interesting to see how that all goes down. Let's talk about the titles at AEW he's seemingly completely forgotten about, and that is the multi-man titles. We've got, first up, the tag titles, currently held by Private Party. The Hurt Syndicate seemingly are coming after him. I know that because they said they're coming after him. And so right now, I'm going to still say it's the Outrunners. Look, man, I don't know what's worse. Hurt Syndicate getting those titles off of Private Party, showing that Private Party has learned absolutely nothing and have grown absolutely none. Or Private Party beating Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, two monsters. So I'm just going to say, I don't know what happens there. A bunch of wonk-ass finishes, and the Outrunners are going to come in and beat Private Party. That doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to have the Outrunners.
I went with Hurt Syndicate. If they end up having a match against Private Party for the tag titles, they will be the next tag champions. The if is if that match ever happens. I understand there's a trios match happening on Dynamite this week where we have Hurt Syndicate against Private Party and, I think I called this, Mark Briscoe.
Mark Briscoe, yeah.
to further this story along. But yeah, if Hurt Syndicate challenges Private Party for those tag titles, Hurt Syndicate will be the next tag champ, Steve.
That is kind of the what if. Like, you could easily take this match and spin Hurt Syndicate away from Private Party into the conglomeration. Are they even still a thing?
Not really.
Right?
Kyle O'Reilly. It's all a mess, Steve.
Kyle O'Reilly joined Undisputed Era.
Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, Kingdom. That's what they're called. That's right. And then the Trios titles currently held by the Blackpool Combat Club.
No, Death Rider, Steve.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Man, AEW's kind of, is this, Larson, is this what it was like? If we were a podcast back in 2005 and like we were reviewing like, oh, hey, there's this thing called TNA. It's been around now for, I guess back then it'd been 3 years.
Yeah.
Or like if we were reviewing it in 2008. Like, is this what it was like reviewing TNA? Keeping tabs on it? Just
Maybe.
like being like, what the hell's going on?
Everything changes at a rapid pace.
It really does. Right now I've got Rated R FTR as the trios to take those titles off of the Blackpool Combat Riders because they're going to get something out of this feud. And it sure as shit ain't going to be the attaché case with the world title.
No, they got more than a month for this to build this Mox Coat match at Revolution. Yeah, I got Rated FTR at some point during the course of that. They ain't doing a whole lot with those trios titles with Death Riders holding them. Have Rated FTR beat them. If you want, not that it matters, have Death Riders beat him for it at some other point to get him back if you really want all the belts on Death Riders. Or at least every member of Death Riders to have a belt. Fine. It doesn't fucking matter. The story's garbage. I want to like AEW a lot. I do. The story stinks.
Wow.
It stinks.
Yeah. Well, you know, just do what I do. Half pay attention to it.
I take the notes for Dynamite. I can't do that, Steve.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we can't afford to have Garrix do that also. You're stuck, man. You're stuck. Anyways, so yeah, who do you think is going to take all these titles? Oh, yeah, one more. Who's going to dethrone MJF as the Dynamite Diamond Ring? Nobody.
No one ever.
Nobody ever. That's it. Let us know who you think's going to dethrone everybody in AEW. Next week we'll do WWE. Until next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.